Like missionaries and mercenaries were sent to colonize these countries. We are reading other people's history, trying to build our own societies on other people's history. Just as much we're trying to govern our societies using other people's laws, as they are called Roman Dutch laws. Churches, there's another form of mafia and thuggery.
Yeah. These churches getting so much land.
It's one institution in society whereby we must question its relevance.
You even struggle to get spaces where you can operate.
All these mayors and councillors are not supposed to get paid.
This is the Modern Men Podcast. Welcome to another powerful episode of the Modern Men Podcast. This is a platform where we build better men and we are all about community impact and building strong families. We've got a powerful conversation today. In a world where a man wrestles with whether should I chase popularity or should I chase purpose. So what we're going to talk about is how does a man in a modern world find his purpose? And I'm excited today for my guest. Let me do this properly. He is a leadership strategist. He's an entrepreneur. He's a community builder. And he's the chairman and group chief executive of ATI Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Sifiso Gunene. Welcome, my brother.
Thank you, my brother. It's a pleasure to be here.
Who is Sifiso Gunene? Beyond the titles.
That's actually a fascinating question. You don't get asked that question on a daily basis. Sifiso Gunene is a forever evolving individual. I'm a young man who was brought up in Soweto, born and bred, Orlando West.
Okay.
So I constantly, let me put it in this way, I grew up in a very warm, loving home.
Okay.
Both parents present. I have a younger brother, his name is Musa. I have never missed out on the important lessons you would need as a young man or as a child, from childhood right through to my adulthood. I grew up, I went to school in observatories, primary in observatory. I got to experience both sides of the world, whereby you're going to a Model C school, you only multiracial school, you are two black kids in an entire classroom of white kids, so it's a different experience. But Malcolm school when you come back to election.
Okay.
So I grew up in that environment. I could say I'm the part of the generation whereby you call it the transitioning generation, whereby yes, we were born in the apartheid era, but now then we grew up in the democratic era.
Yeah.
So we get to have inklings of history, part of our growing up under apartheid and also in the democratic dispensation. Obviously, the majority comes from the democratic dispensation. I'm a young man who also grew up and learned certain fundamentals from the Adventist Church.
Okay.
That's one of the churches I grew up under. And also, funny enough, it's one of the churches I criticize today. Moving from there, I migrated into a new level of my life whereby I actually started acknowledging Islam. From there, there's certain lessons as well. This is now throughout my own spiritual journey as an individual, as you grow. This is no longer fitting for me because I'm finding it, it's dead information for me now. I need a new beginning, a new spiritual revival, So I came across a Quran, took it, read it like a novel, and it just opened other avenues of thought and so forth. So hence I say I'm a constantly evolving individual because I always believe that every 10 years of your life, there's certain change that needs to happen within you as an individual, be you man or woman. But there has to be that change or that growth that comes from within you. So I can speak the whole day.
Okay, tell me.
But that's just a snippet.
All right, great, fantastic.
Sure.
It seems like you grew up in a very loving home.
Sure.
From what you just said.
Yes.
What do you understand by the term modern man?
Modern man for me is man who has moved away from the original basics of God's instruction.
Okay.
So this is what I mean. God created, for instance, and I'm not preaching here, but it's basic, it's history, it's known. God creates 10 laws, calls them commandments. And I'm just paraphrasing everything. 10 commandments. From 10 commandments, men must basically abide by these laws and these rules. Simple as that. Nothing more, nothing less. But man fails to abide by these laws and these rules, and therefore what does man do? Man creates 10 million other laws to make sure they
man-made
govern
laws.
man-made laws.
Yeah.
From God's laws, man-made laws to govern man moving forward. Hence, you get to find that from the original basics of man, to say, one of those commandments is thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. For instance, don't look at it as a wife per se, but it may be your neighbor's assets or whom your neighbor may be as well. So it's an element of contentment too, because what you get to find that the situations whereby jealousy comes into play, then the covetousness comes into play, and once that brews the evil within any kind of individual. So then from there you get to find, no, this is not how man needs to function. Okay. And then hence you find that God creates things called covenants. There's a covenant done with Abraham, there's a covenant done with Noah, there's a covenant done with whomever, till the covenant of Jesus. Now, over these covenants, you get to find during the spaces in between them, there's certain times whereby man fell from original laws, instructions, and just abiding by God's simple laws and principles. Hence, when you fast forward to today, you find man,
in the
modern world, man is an animal.
Okay.
Why do I say man is an animal? If men can't eat each other physically, they will eat each other financially. Hence, today, you get to find that also the physical element is coming to play because man kills another man. Man brings pain onto another man. Man beats up women.
So in short, what is a modern man?
A modern man is a fallen man who has an opportunity to regain his glory by bringing himself back to his original formation and alignment with the administrator of the universe.
Okay. So, Sfiso, tell me, who has influenced you the most as the man that you are today?
That's a good one. Because, like I said, over the phases in my life, I got to get certain influences. Number one, the greatest influence was my grandfather. And I say this because in my younger years, one of your cameramen knows it. So in Monapansi, my grandfather used to carry me on his shoulders every day, you know, and it gave me a different perspective on being on the shoulders of a very tall man going to school, dropping me off. It's a constant thing he would do on a daily basis. This gave me the view of peripheral vision.
Okay. Being
able to view things from a different angle and seeing from a different height as well, from a young age, you know?
Yeah.
Fast forwarding, I've always had, like I said, the church influence whereby my father was part of the church, became a deacon, and so forth and so forth. But for me, it ended when I got a girl pregnant. So in the church, what happens is this. When you fornicate, sex before marriage, it's classified as a base for you to be disfellowshipped. So for you to be disfellowshipped, in other words, you need to denounce that there is no God, not that you got a woman pregnant. So obviously there's a lost in translation element of and so forth. So that on its own, what happened was that now the church ostracizes you. And once the church ostracizes you, you become a black sheep. From being a young man, maybe we backslide as humans, we make mistakes. But for you to constantly press on that particular mistake, show them they are black sheep, whereby you're not showing them good look. Even the good book says, though your sins may be red as scarlet, I'll wash them as white as snow. Yeah. We don't have that room for disappointment as humans. Because if we did, then we would know what is true forgiveness, or we would know what discernment is. So, church had that influence on me. Islam had a great influence on me. But what I also appreciate is this, that I stopped finding heroes in humans.
Expand on that.
I started focusing on my spirituality as an individual.
Okay.
Because you get to find that we are all told you need to speak to some greater power.
Yeah.
Or there's a greater power that gives you your being, gives you that opportunity of being here, having this conversation with me today. The same greater power is the same power that can switch you off in an instant. Just as much as they can say, man is in charge of their own life, take an alarm clock now to any graveyard, put it there, switch it on to ring in the next 10 minutes and see who wakes up. Then you get to understand who really is in charge of life. 2, then you need to understand that there's also certain wisdoms and axioms that we live with as humans. We get to learn that over time, there's a verse. I forget the exact part, but it says, "My people perish because of a lack of knowledge."
Lack of knowledge, yeah.
And this knowledge is information you're supposed to receive from even previous generations.
Yeah.
All right, we will go into this further. From even previous generations, which becomes hereditary influence. Hence, you find that you repeat, or history repeats itself, because the history influences the future.
Yeah.
You're being taught. So you become a great man because you learned certain personal traits or characters or morals from your elders, maybe your father, your mother, Gogo, Mkulu, your uncle, whoever the case may be, that you apply to yourself as an individual.
I get it. Okay, I get it. So now from what you're saying is that there's a lot of influence that came from your grandfather.
Yes.
There's a lot of influence that came also from growing up on, may I call it, teachings, Christian teachings, Bible teachings as well, that influenced you?
Yes, I would rather say you would call it
Yeah.
biblical and historical literature.
Oh, okay.
I don't want you to say Bible specific.
All right.
All right, because if you want to say Christian teachings, and then Christianity is a religion or it's a right.
It is.
Just as much as Islam, just as much as whatever. So it's a matter of historical knowledge and information coming to my disposal, and I reading that information as to how do I digest it, and how do I apply it to myself as an individual. Because then it also creates a purpose within you.
Yes. That was my next question, actually.
Okay.
You know, we're living in a world, invisible men, where men are actually chasing likes, they're chasing followers on Facebook, on all these social media platforms. But the real question is, why do we exist? Are we existing for that viral moment to be famous? What is our existence as men? You know?
It's a difficult one.
It is.
But personally, I wouldn't. You were born alone unless if you've got a twin.
Yeah.
But I think
even if you were born with a twin,
yeah,
there's the other one that comes first.
But an individual
Yeah.
has to make their own decision on what is it that they want and how they want to live their life. I like the fact that you touched on growing up under Christianity and then later on saw the need to check out Quran, Islam. And to me, this is one making their own decision on what is it that you want.
Yes.
We cannot be determined by our parents to say, because my grand was a Christian, so therefore my grandchildren as well should be Christian.
100%.
But let your children make their own decisions. Currently now, my kids, one of them is going for baptismal class.
Okay.
I grew up in the Anglican church.
Okay.
I was forced to, in fact, not forced. They just baptized me without questioning or asking me.
Sure.
And I got confirmed in the very same church again. My grand forced me to get confirmed. But I realized that with religion, especially going to church now, you should have a purpose. You know exactly what you want.
Yeah.
It has to be a give and take.
That's a big
The church wants something from me. I want something from the church.
I like what you're saying, and I want to bring this context to it. Over time, over history, there's one thing we need to understand. The world will constantly evolve. And in the worlds of evolution, we need to know how we fit and how we apply. Okay? Because 2,500 years ago is not the same as 2026.
Yeah, things change.
Things have changed.
Yeah.
Even though they may say this is technology, there's technology from that time that is no longer existent but was conducive and was the thing at the time. So over time, you get to find that there's this history I love, especially when it comes to culture, heritage, and you're looking at tribes and so forth. And you get to find that there's always been war in the world, everywhere. Okay? There's always been war. Here's a typical example. There's a guy by the name of Judah Maccabee. I think you once saw this post. I posted it recently. Judah Maccabee was a messiah to Jews, or any nation that lived well with the Jews. So in other words, if any nation kept to these particular laws or any statute that was brought upon by the Almighty, and it was kept and it was respected, and they were living in unison with these people, everything was fine and dandy. But if there was a nation that was going against those statutes and those models, they were killed.
Okay.
Yes, it's in history. You must check it out. So you get to find that Judah becomes a messiah to this particular group or nation. So once he's a messiah to this particular group of nation, or this nation, along the way he passes away in war and so forth and so forth. Now this messiah is gone. A couple of years later, a guy by the name of John the Baptist is born, and Jesus is born.
Yeah. We can go on and
on.
All right. What is your purpose? Tell me specifically.
My purpose is to follow God's will.
Okay.
And this is why you brought up an important factor. The Quran and the Bible say the same thing.
Okay.
Yusuf is Joseph. Dawood is David. Musa is Moses. Ibrahim is Abraham.
All right. So what would you say it is God's will in your life?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Yes, I want to give you context to what I'm saying. So, in essence, a lot that divides the world is actually false. And we find that there's a lot in common in us more than we think. So the purpose within me, as much as I'm running this foundation in various entities, is to make sure that we create a platform for individuals to thrive. Because we get to find that our fellow men in today's day, from previous promises that were made to us as South Africans as well, that have not come to fruition. We spoke about being born in the apartheid era and experiencing the democratic dispensation, whereby there are individuals here who've experienced both dispensations, and some are saying they are trying to romanticize the past more than the present. Now then you get to ask yourself, why? And this is where I also identified my opportunity or purpose to say, okay, look, there are certain things I can do that I'm capable of accessing for others who can't access. Let's create platforms whereby people are able to access whatever they need to access that will give them or put them in the right space to build a relevant lifestyle for themselves.
So that's ATI Foundation.
That is ATI Foundation.
We'll get into that.
Yes.
So tell me, when did you discover your purpose? Because the reason why I'm asking this question is that a man can spend all his life without even realizing their purpose, which is an unfortunate thing in the world that we live in. Blessed are those who discover it even earlier to say, this is my reason for being, and I will just go for it and pursue it. When did you discover yours?
So for me, I've always believed that purpose is not fixed. It will constantly evolve. And like I'm saying, forever evolving. When I say forever will constantly evolve, there's a certain time or place you will be in somewhere in your years whereby you need to do something that at that time will be relevant, but in the future will no longer apply. Okay? Simple case in point. I was head of economic development for Ward 39 in 2016 to 2018.
Okay.
All right. So in other words, I was part of the committee from the local councillor's office to make sure that we bring economic change in whatever that space may be. But then challenges came through to say, okay, we are not finding common ground in this space, and therefore I resigned from the space. Okay. But however, my purpose in that role evolved into a new mandate. And through this particular new mandate, the purpose has evolved and grown. At the same time, it does not leave what is important behind purpose, which is duty.
Okay.
Because if your duty is to be a father, you, no matter what happens, you'll be there for your children. You know what I'm talking? If your duty is to be a father and you're running a household, you will understand the basic elements of running a household. If your duty is to be a father by instilling relevant morals and lessons in your children,
Values.
you will do that accordingly. Now, if you know you're a father, umntwana ozohlangana naye estradini apho mama afinyela uzokhipha itissue. Angeke uthi akusumntanami. Now that's how we need to understand duty. Then we'll know what purpose is.
Okay.
Because then, once you know that kind of duty, then your duty outflows from your own small space. Because look at it in this manner. If you experience a loving home and the next door neighbor is a very cold home, and you get to find you're going to the very same school these individuals come from this particular home, the output will never be the same. Because to such an extent, they'll be envious of you. Not because they want to replace you, they're envious of the love you are receiving from that space. And unfortunately, this is what a lot of men miss in today's day. This is because also society emasculates men big time.
It does.
Big time. To such an extent, we get labeled in a band A1.
Yes.
You know what? One man will do something stupid to one individual. This person will write a post which will affect all men.
Okay.
At the end of the day.
All right, I get you.
Yeah.
I get you.
So we need to understand how we really bring back the purpose, duty within our own small spaces and communities. Because we need to create a ripple effect with it.
That's the whole point of the podcast.
Yes. We need to create a ripple effect with it. Which, you know, a ripple effect, those small ripples there, that's what needs to happen. And sometimes if you want to try and blanket it, when I say blanket it, it's what our country does. Our country blankets our problems. They'll say, oh, there's poverty in South Africa. But yes, we know there are poverty hotspots as much as there are economic green shoots in our spaces. Sihlala Soweto. Soweto right now. We are recording in Soweto right now.
Soweto. Receiver Studios.
At Receiver Studios.
Yeah.
Now, Soweto in Middlelands. Now, Soweto is well known across the world. It was well known that it is the biggest township in the Southern Hemisphere. Soweto is known that yes, there's people like Mandela who come from there. There's people like Desmond Tutu who come from there. There's people like Winnie Mandela who come from there. There's Elias Mzwaleli who come from there. So you get to find Guti, there's the artistic element of Soweto comes from Middlelands. Was speaking about and so forth. Okay, through these communities that we see here, also over time they created what we call industrial spaces and industrial parks, which are close to the mining band. So yes, we are boxed in the space. All right. Once we are boxed here, our leader said to us, hey, we are saying one man, one vote, freedom for this, electricity, mahala. You know, those were the promises that were made back in the day. Today, I'm going to give it taxi, mahala, looking for mahala.
No.
Never.
No. All right. I get you. What do you have to say, Invisible Man?
I just want to add on.
Yes.
I'm trying to do something in Middlelands currently. It's still building up. And one of the things is I'm driving towards purpose.
Yeah.
I ask myself, why am I alive? What is my purpose to be around? Yes, I've got a wife and kids who I'm looking after. But what am I doing to my society, my community?
Yeah.
Because I can see all kinds of things. Poverty. I can see fatherlessness. I can see people that have got potential to be someone, but don't know what they have in them.
Yeah.
So me setting up what I call the Middlelands Heritage Hub now is to bring in people with different kinds of knowledge people with influence,
Yeah.
people that can say, guys, we can push something to the society. And you don't have to convince about 100 people. Get 10 people or 2 people.
That's the ripple effect
Build,
that you were talking about.
build something out of them.
Yeah.
Once they are up there, then the rest will follow.
100%.
That's purpose to me.
So, Spiso, why do many men spend a lot of their years just chasing to be popular instead of their purpose?
You know, you are asking the wrong person the
Yeah.
right question.
Yes, because this is about education. We
That's
want
true.
to-
And the reason why I say that is this.
Yeah.
One, I don't social media.
Yeah.
I don't have Facebook. I don't have Instagram. I've got a Twitter account. I don't tweet. That's for information and news. I think I've got 17 followers on it. I'm content. But I don't social media
Okay.
because I don't have time for social media, because my duty and purpose has encapsulated me.
It absorbs
So-
more time, yeah.
So the thing is, we were never taught.
But we see it in our society. You know.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We do. We were never taught to build genuinely. All right? And hence, sasheshu khalelizinho izinto zabantu.
Yeah.
We were, a typical example, as a man, you grow, you get into your teens. When you get into your teens, you start finding interests in certain things. You start finding interests in females, for instance. And now, today, it's what we see today. But then you need to ask very important questions. If Lendwana am there, now is at this phase whereby he wants to find himself a companion. Well, if you want a woman next to you, you want a companion. Do you have the relevant assets for you to say you are capable of taking care of this particular companion? Because there's certain responsibilities as men we want to shy away from because of this thing called 50-50.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's be frank and honest about it. If by law, by the administrator of the university's instruction to say men shall provide, then it's your duty to provide. But if you as a helpmate woman are going to be provided for, what is your level of helpmate? So we never had, there were back in the day, whereby you had these men who would sit in the space, MBs, or they would discuss what's going on in our communities.
Yeah.
To say, hey, usifisa yahlupha lapha 11-609, senza kanjani?
Yeah.
Hey, babudlami nasemlandeni. Beze labo babaningi.
Yes.
Bazodila nabo ngoba uyinhlupho la elokishini.
Yeah.
But now we don't have that.
Yeah.
Because now corporal punishment is legal.
Yeah.
But yes, there is a certain level of punishment that must be brought about. Look, gentlemen, we need to be frank.
Yeah.
Because there's certain individuals today who are genuine individuals in society who are brought up under corporal punishment. Let's not lie about it.
Yeah.
Hence, those individuals can complain today to say, you know, in our time, we used to do this, or they used to do this to us. Do that today to their kids, they'll take you to the police station.
Yeah.
Yeah. Final one.
Yes.
We were never also taught the element of the real meaning of umuntu ngabantu, which is the crux. The one which is the crux of ubuntu.
Yes.
It's umuntu ngabantu, which is the crux of ubuntu. Umuntu yini, when you translate it, it's a human being, literally. Either be black, colored, white, orange, blue, green, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a human being. So for me to acknowledge your humanness, I need to understand my own humanness.
Yeah.
You know? So if we understand both our morals and principles, and we share that, and we are neighbors, ngiyazi ukuthi kusasa intwana kaZakes,
Yeah.
my ganga la extracted. Zakes na intwana yakhe ibhizi yaganga la extracted. Kumele ngiyikhuze.
Yes.
Intwana kaZakes, inxosi yethengi kaZakes nabayihlukumeza. Kumele ngiyikhuze ngiyigade. Kumele ngifundise intwana
And
zami.
that's mentorship.
That's mentorship. Kumele ngifundise intwana zami ukuthi bafethu, this is your sister. You may be neighbors. Because you see, the thing is, being neighborly is, in other words, we are building a family through these four-cornered rooms. I call them rooms because they're houses, yes. But these four corners that we are all in, that have perimeter walls around them. Because kusasa amakhaligana strategy sizobiza.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but-
No, you're quite right. I like it.
So
Yeah.
we have, how can I put it? We have defecated on our manliness. We've let society just insult it.
Yeah. Okay. let's expand on that, right? Why is it important that every man must have some sort of mission? Now, going back to purpose, why is it that?
You know, like I said, throughout history, there's certain men who set barometers for men of today.
Yes. Those who came before us.
Those who came before us. I'll even make it as close as home as possible.
Yes.
No madala lo simthandayo.
Yeah.
Uthanda umhlaba wonke. Ukuyibhedlela
Yes,
yakhe
yes, yes, yes.
Mandela.
Yeah.
Right? So to the world, he's an icon from South Africa.
Of course.
Not that we know that he's not the only one who contributed to the liberation of our country, because there was a mass democratic movement. But the purpose of this gentleman and the other crew and whoever else was to fight for this particular achievement, whereby everyone is free and capable to participate in a country whereby no one is oppressed. Sharp. We achieved it, but then we lost it. We do not have a vision to build a country. Because people say, it's in 50 now, 94. Yabo? Isikhathi siyahamba. 50 years. Phela lithi 70 chayile.
Yes.
Angithi? Suddenly 20 years when you're 50. Then what do? You pillage. And it's what we're seeing now in our country.
Yeah.
Because now, where's that throughout evolution? What's the next form of income when it comes to men now? Let's say idler. We're idling. I'm on Facebook. I do this. I want likes now. Right? Because you're idling. We've never been given or shown a platform for you to grow. For instance, we once did a motorsporting initiative whereby we brought go-karts to Orlando West, where we are introducing the sport of karting. So one of the initiatives, their foundation for 2027 is we want to take 10 schools, give them 2 karts, and they will compete in this league. In this particular league, they will win certain prizes. And now this goes hand in hand. Well, these prizes contribute to the beneficiation of the school and the student who are participating in the initiative. And also it goes in hand with their STEAM subjects, which will be science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics.
It also stimulates them.
It stimulates
innovation,
creativity, and so forth.
creativity. Yeah.
Now, this is a platform. Okay. So with this platform now, we are trying to create a pipeline. So how do we create a pipeline? We firstly need to have these participants participating, enjoy, because it's a sport that is not around us here.
It is not.
One, it's not. It seems like a far-fetched dream to participate in the sport. And once the kids participated, in fact, we had more young girls participating in it than young boys.
Okay. So let's get back to ATI Foundation. I see you're wearing the t-shirt.
Yes, sure.
I can see you want to speak about it. Let's get into it. Tell me, what is ATI Foundation?
ATI Foundation is basically, like I said, it's a foundation that brings the relevant framework structures for human capital to thrive.
Yes.
It focuses on various levels. For instance, in 2019, just when COVID came in, just before 2020, we were actually part of the organizations that were assisting with humanitarian aid within Soweto and surrounding communities.
What type of aid?
It was food parcels, it was blankets,
Okay.
we would respond to emergency scenarios and so forth. So, to such an extent, it was such a scary time. I mean, there was a time in
was
extracting
where people were,
and we were escorted by police. That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
We've lost a lot of people over the time, obviously, and we've also lost a lot of beneficiaries too. But it's to make sure, like I said, it's creating bases and platforms for people to thrive. The other initiative that I haven't spoken about is aviation. But in essence, this is what I'm saying. Because actually, I'm just wearing the t-shirt because I'm from somewhere. I'm not here to actually speak about it.
No, this is the platform.
But this is what I'm trying to say. Through these initiatives, one, there's motorsport. Two, we're in aviation as well. We have an F-18 simulator chair whereby we teach young kids how to fly, understanding, and also understanding what GPS is.
So do you go to schools and
we go to schools with that?
Okay.
Then we take the schools to the airports as well, through also the Aviation Development Foundation. So there's quite a lot of avenues we are pulling. And it brings me to this point. It will correlate, don't worry about your next question. this is what I mean when we say purpose. And what you say, Postman, about wanting to do something in Meadowlands. One of the areas we're based in is Orlando West. One of the biggest fights we're fighting right now as a foundation is I'll title it what government calls it. It's called institutional delinquency. ATI Foundation has been approved for an entire revamp of the Florida Lake Road Report. I'm not sure if you know that entire space.
Okay.
So it's to also revamp it and bring relevant opportunities in that space. But coming back home, Soweto, Orlando West, the mandate now, and I think I'm trying to contribute to what you also want to do, achieve, Postman, is that you get to find that now we are idling as communities. We don't know what should be the next mandate in building the next generation.
Okay.
And therefore, we end up repeating the very same mistakes that have been happening in the past. One, we need to have those important conversations. I need to have got number one citizens in our communities. We call them councillors.
Yes.
These councillors need to go and represent us in council. But at the end of the day, you get to find that these councillors are taking this duty is only a matter of reporting street lights, sewer down
And
the
the
road,
salary
and the salary that comes with it. They meet once a month at council, but besides that, what else are they bringing to the spaces?
Okay.
And this is where the community needs to take that initiative now to say, number one, men, we need to have the conversation, which the morals that we are harboring in our communities right now, what is happening? Are we content and happy that, look, and I'm not against people having a good time, but are we content and happy that seeing our young people during the day, 12 midday, smoking, whatever, hookah pipe, or whatever the case may be? Does that make us happy? Or are they doing it because they are cooking, or are they doing it because
there's no opportunities,
celebrating, or no opportunities?
Yeah.
What is the issue?
All right.
And how do we deal with this matter? We are not saying people don't drink, don't have fun, but we know that too much of a good thing is bad for you. Hence, it comes to substance abuse, it comes to alcohol abuse. So then how do we create barometers whereby individuals do not go beyond what is needed? Because if they do go beyond what is needed, we see the results in these houses. Women are being beaten.
Yeah.
They are being killed. Crime is being committed because now we need a fix. So it's how do we then change the image of our communities? Two, we have fixed assets in these spaces. And guys are employed to go and assess your community. Understand its economic model. When I say economic model, you do find with all my friends, not that they are gone. They're still there.
Yeah.
Why? Because South Africans don't know how to run businesses. It's a fact. No matter how much government may say, it's a clear call. Let's start businesses. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Do these people have
So does
basic
your
knowledge?
foundation also do that?
Yes, we do. We do that basic education. We have an entity also, actually. It's called Maestro System. It does business support. So part of it's civic education.
So this happens at Orlando?
So this happens in various spaces. So we're not limited to Orlando.
Okay.
Because if we receive a request from Putarichaba,
All right.
I can't say from someone who's in Putarichaba or Orlando West.
Yeah.
We go there. I mean, the furthest we've been was Pukeng, Itokwe.
Okay.
You understand? So at the end of the day is coming back to this particular point is to say, when you reassess the space you are in, then you are able to create a simple even 10-point plan for the spaces that you're coming from to say, okay, through these particular assets now, we are seeing these are the socio-economic ills we are dealing with in our community. When we are saying we want to take a stand, we've got young people, and these young people want to apply themselves to a new mission and a new vision.
Yeah. So how do people get involved with your foundation? Because I see you're in a mission.
Yes, I'm in a mission. And unfortunately for us, our approach is different.
Okay.
Yes, we come to you, you don't come to us.
Okay.
Yes. And it's purposeful, it's intended in that way. Because we've got to find that we work with people who don't share the very same interests as we do.
Alignment is important.
Yes, we are not aligned.
Yeah.
And a simple thing to prove alignment, you see what they did to football at the World Cup. It looked like American football. They had 4 quarters every single match. That's not the original thing.
Mm.
You understand?
The rules
So
were changed.
The rules were changed. So that's misalignment.
Mm.
That's where we see that is misalignment in the biggest form.
Okay.
Because now you have ruined this thing that helps this individual cope with certain things. A lot of women ask, why do men watch soccer? They don't understand what soccer does to you as a man when you get home. You understand? And then you ruin the basic, which ruins and causes a major disturbance.
Okay.
Yes. So, yes, coming back to your question.
Yes, people getting involved with your
People getting involved.
foundation.
Look, till now we are accessible. You can contact us. It's info@atifoundation.co.za.
Yeah.
And that's the most simple and basic contact information I'll give you. I don't want to give you the Facebook page. No.
Yeah.
But I want to say this, that the impact we bring forward is not for us to say we want likes, we want followings, we want accolades. We appreciate people who receive accolades. I saw you were awarded an accolade, which is beautiful, wonderful. We like that. We appreciate it. People need to be given their flowers.
Yeah.
At the same time, there are people who are not there to say, I want flowers. There are people who want to do that thing, unlock it for you, and move on to the next.
And there's a lot of those people who actually
There's
do
a lot. There's a
great
lot.
work in our
There's
community.
there's a lot of people, and I think what's important is people need to come together and deal with the issues they face on a daily basis. And this business of being ignorant and not wanting to find solutions to our problems and wanting somebody else to come from somewhere to give us a solution, it does not work. It does not work. It does not apply in today's society.
What's your take, Invisible Man, on what Spies is saying?
You've said a lot.
A lot.
And
he's a talker.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. And you're right. Nobody's gonna come in and do things for you. You as an individual, you can in the area that you are in, you know the need of the people, or again back to purpose. You know what you have to do.
Yeah.
If there's a weaker or a person that needs help or a person that's just idling there, not knowing what to do, what do you do in that situation?
That's true.
Yeah.
And you see, the thing is, like you're saying, idling. An idling mind is the devil's playground.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's ready to accept any kind and form of information that may come to it.
I always tell young people that it's either you'll be doing one of the three. It's either you're studying, you're volunteering, or you're working. You can't say you're not doing anything.
100%. And now I like what you're saying, Zix, because then we need to build a pipeline to that.
Yeah.
But with your sharp, because now we are seeing the challenge with going to varsity nowadays is very costly and expensive. Secondly, we are seeing what not everyone who's highly qualified is relevantly educated. You are highly qualified when it comes to competence, your academic competencies, you're highly qualified. But your human competencies, you fail in doing it. I said something about institutional delinquency. If you remember, Treasury withheld money from municipalities recently.
Yeah.
And because of a simple thing called institutional delinquency. Now then you think with AVL, institutionally delinquent, because these institutions are not doing what they're supposed to do. Then he further elaborate to say, we even took these people for further training and education, but they still don't know what to do. Then you need to understand, what is this institution that is delinquent?
Yeah.
It's you. The human element in this thing is what is delinquent. Then how do we deal with this delinquency?
Human development is an important
100%.
Yeah.
Human development, when you're looking at, let's build young men. Yeah? There are certain basic principles we need to instill in young men. For instance, have you ever noticed how a relationship between a human and a pet happens? There's no formal communication or language that is understood between the two.
Yeah.
But it's felt. Now there's a responsibility. Ndwana, you know, for hambo pagelinje. Ekuseni mavuka hambo susa ini.
Yeah.
So that now mongeko zitama lakhe, they know I must go feed the dog. I need to do this. I need to. So if those basic elements can be taught through action, then there's a lot that we can teach through action as well. And this is what we also need to teach society. Which, yes, we fully support the business of giving women opportunities. That is important because even in original creation, woman is a helpmate. In other words, not a servant, a helpmate. Right? Two, yes, women are in super powerful positions. At the same time, we see how women are flawed in these positions. Okay?
That's a whole nother.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, that's all
right. But fact of the matter is, I'm saying no one is perfect. Neither am I saying man is perfect or no one is better at this. But the fact is, this human element is delinquent. So how do we deal with this institutional delinquency?
I think everyone has the potential to become better.
100%.
Yeah, and we should build more leaders, right? So now, coming to leadership, actually, what do you think separates great leaders just from ordinary people?
People who take up initiative. People who take up initiative for the greater good or for a greater purpose. People who are selfless and sacrifice themselves for a better beneficiation. Just as much as Ghostman may say he wants to do something for Middlelands, it's not for him, it's for Middlelands and its upcoming generations. So in essence, legacies. So great leaders build legacies.
Why is it important that, especially as fathers and men, that we should build legacies? Why is it important?
That is a... you must ask God that one. But you see, from my perspective, is this, there's always the power of association, and the power of positive association. Let me put it this way. If we all come collectively to try and achieve a certain goal,
a certain mission,
and we achieve it, right? We look attractive to those who also want to find themselves in that better space. So we are causing a ripple effect.
The one that
I spoke about. So, and that is what is important. And because now, and the biggest challenge in today's day is that we don't capture our history.
It's very important.
We don't. And we are reading other people's history, trying to build our own societies on other people's history. Just as much we're trying to govern our societies using other people's laws. As they are called Roman Dutch laws. We are young told. So how are we going to fix that mess? Whereby, one, we need to be able to scribe our history. What is the truth of our history? Because in history, the story favors the hunter and not the hunted.
And no one can tell your story than you.
No one can tell your story better than you. And also, and here, guys, here's the important one. And this one is for men. Men need
We are on the Modern Men podcast,
Men need to know how to discern and transmit information. In other words, the biggest problem in society that I've noticed as well is that men don't think before they speak.
Don't think before they speak.
They speak and think after. They act and think after. So there's this thing that is associated with this cultural group that they say, some shy, so who's after? Yes. And you get to find that women monopolize on this thing. Women are very clever creatures, guys. We should not be. We are not saying, we are not talking down on them, but we are modern men having a conversation pertaining to the situation in our society and so forth. Women are creative and cunning creatures. And a woman knows how to press her buttons as a man. And you must notice something, that when it comes after carnal interludes, you as a man, you're weak as ever. You keep a yonki. But you pay attention to her. She's paying attention to you.
And that's your weak spot.
That's your weak spot. And then now you start to unravel yourself. You just keep a match. Sasa wins floor. What does she do? She steps on those And she uses them as what you call ammunition.
Yeah.
But then what do? You respond.
Mm.
Because you're not expecting that.
Mhm.
But now the issue is, how do you respond to it?
Yeah.
And
Your reaction.
Your reaction to any situation.
Yeah.
And hence men lie, and they lie terribly. And women see this. And when a woman sees with, hey, why does it man, then they know. But whereby you know what you thought this out properly, and you're doing it with the best intentions, without trying to deceive anyone, then it will be a different conversation. Today we are not having families, we are not having marriage is not the thing, because we are not having individuals who want to build towards this particular thing. And for certain women, marriage is a societal image, a criteria. They became those things. Then marriage got bastardized. Then people stepped away. This to be fat and said, whereby what is the original mission of this union? When God said the two shall become one, what is the original intention of this particular union, and where is it headed? So also, we need to teach our young men from a very young age.
Of course, it's that whole mentorship.
It's that whole mentorship thing again. And not only young men. It's important to have both sides having that important conversation. Sometimes there's another initiative we do. It's called the Gentleman Initiative, whereby you have both sides having this conversation, whereby we are instilling these principles and morals to these young people.
Which is very important,
It's very important, because we are building a society of the future. And this is what we need to understand. And this is the mentality that needs to change. That in society today, we are building for the future. We're not building for ourselves. We are building for our children and our children's children. And once politicians, in fact, I'm going to say politicians, once we get rid of the filth that is there, even the design of the system, then we'll be speaking a different language.
Okay, so tell me, what is it that you want to achieve with the ATI Foundation?
Peace.
Okay.
For myself. And when I say peace for myself, in other words, I'm not at peace yet. Because there's these socio-economic issues I'm constantly seeing on a daily basis that my foundation must strive to fight. And through the constant daily struggles and achieving the goals that we are trying to achieve and the objectives and the mandate, eventually we will get to that point whereby I can say I've achieved peace. So for me, it's a constant struggle. Wherever we are, for everybody, it's a constant struggle. Right? You must look at certain things. I love playing golf. So I've got friends who don't play golf. I've got friends who work Monday to Friday. And the best time to play golf is on a Monday.
Okay.
You know? Who do I play golf with? Because everyone is at work on Monday. So I'm one. Because now my stream of my life or my vision, or how I envision myself, allows me to play the sport, but does not allow my friends to play the sport because their stream of their vision or their alignment. Hence, a lot of people can talk a lot and say, hey, this needs to happen in our country, this needs to happen, because they are receiving a monthly salary. Remove that salary. See what happens. In fact, all these mayors and councillors are not supposed to get paid if you genuinely want to represent the community.
Because that's service.
You say you're a public servant.
If we are about to really look at it, that position, it's a space of serving.
Yes, it's a space of serving. For me, it's like pastors who want us to pay them salaries from our tithes and offerings. I say those things. I say they are thugs. They are thugs. You can't go find a trade, do carpentry, do something. But don't try to take my tithes and offerings for your own benefit to empower you. You close
Why
the
is
factory.
it important so much for you, Sfiso, to be a man of service?
Man, there's certain duties that God gives you and you can't question. And like I said before, we are striving for a better society. We are striving for let me call it a nirvana, a space where we got rid of poverty, a space where...
Do you think we'll reach that?
No. It's not impossible to achieve, but not in our lifetime. It will be an evolutionary process whereby we get there.
Yeah.
Because for us to be here now, we would need to go back 2,500 years ago, as I said before. But then you need to understand the history of the Kush. Now, once you understand the history of the Kush nation, then you realize they come from Ethiopia. There's Nguni people there, and then you fast forward to 1932, and you read a publication called The Buntu World. Now, you must remember something. In 1932, there was no apartheid. Apartheid came in 1948. Now, in 1948, this is when they started pillaging the black nation. In other words, we want to cripple this nation, that in future, they are not worth anything, even when it comes to their mentality,
Of course,
when it
that's
comes
what
to
it was about. Yeah.
when it comes to their physicality. You must remember, physicality. They were club injection babies the end. But you get to find there was Dr. Wani, Dr. Death, then you get to discover that no man, these syringes, they are doing something to this particular nation because they want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Proper any ethnic cleansing. Just call it ethnic cleansing because that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to kill us. But they didn't. They failed. Because there's a reason to it. So we've moved on from that particular time. But the scars are still there. We've glorified and beautified the poverty that our parents and grandparents experienced in the past, whereby we are living in it today. We just put up electric fences, painting the walls, and doing that. Nothing has changed from the aesthetics. So the reason for purpose is, if we want to fight and change the aesthetics for the future, we have to participate now in the present.
What is it that you think, as a modern man, let's make it very practical, starting today, that you should do to empower yourself, to upskill yourself, to become a better man in your own words?
Can I jump in there?
Yes, before.
Because I mean, your question is relevant and at the same time, something that you've said as well. All of this comes to the now generation, or maybe even people of my generation, of some of them actually. I see them as trapped, cannot think for themselves, to be creative or to go do things for themselves and help themselves. There's a word, I think you scholars would say, the colonized mind, and
decolonizing, and
now we're trying to decolonize the minds. To me, is setting the mind free.
Of course.
We need if you can get people to now start thinking, to think, and do things and get them out of this trap, because they're trapped. They're waiting for somebody to come and do things for them instead of doing things for themselves.
100%, and that's the sad part. And I like your point that you're bringing forth, because there's quite a lot to the mix, and hence I said I'm not reading Christian books, but literature, and I'll tell you why. There's something called missionary and mercenaries. Right? Missionaries and mercenaries were sent to colonize these countries. So part of the colonization, you needed to go to a certain church as a black person for you to be palatable to them, right? So there was
it was the whole brainwash.
It was a whole brainwash system that to say you can't function outside of these moral principles of this church.
Now we're going back to those man-made laws.
Yes. So now you get to find that, okay, these institutions Roma, Anglican, we are going to apply ourselves here because now at least we are
behave in a certain way.
and behave in a certain way. Because also the church I grew up under, Mandela's kids went there to study, but he was not in favor of this particular church. Why? Because it's still, even in democracy, there is still that split. You've got that formation of that organization, you've got that formation of that organization to such an extent, and it's the same organization, it's just that white, black. Now, the sad part is that there's black, still in the same organization. So what is happening? It is even deteriorating further, whereby we adopted what, like I said, we adopted what is not ours. What is it now to decolonize this mind? What is it now that we are going to do or say? Uguti, we are moving ourselves from this kind of thinking. And because you must realize, to constantly keep us colonized is money for politicians. Because we constantly vote for them. They don't solve these problems. They regurgitate the same problem. We are getting to realize today that they are receiving monies from drug cartels and drug monies to drive the public mandate.
I would even go to an extent to say, you know what, as a man or as a human being,
yes,
if you do not have the ability to think for yourself,
yes,
I would call it a disease. It's a mess. Because as a man, you must be able to have free will, free thinking, so that you can come out of any situation.
100%. Which brings me to this point. I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and he said to me, he was actually laughing at me. He says to me, you teach people how to hunt elephants. And I laughed. I was like, why are we hunting elephants? He says, think about it. An elephant is a challenge bigger than your circumstance, right? A butter knife, so he says, I teach people how to hunt elephants using butter knives. A butter knife is your limitations. So currently right now in our communities, our challenges seem bigger than our circumstances, whereby the tools we have at hand seem even more limited, whereby we can't even solve these challenges that look big, whereby they are not. It's all about thinking. From thinking, we take action, initiative. Because once you've thought it, put it down on paper, action it. Because once you've actioned it, then 1, 2, when 2 or 3 are gathered in my name.
Coming together.
Now this is what us, do. When 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, hey, we worship, we do this. We don't think that when 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I'll be there in that plan and that mandate. I'll make sure it comes to fruition till they get to the end, whatever challenges they face. We don't do that. But then as we factories collection then you need to understand, what is this thing called a church in today's day? Is it relevant? Is it? Now we've got a church.
Those are important questions.
And it's one institution in society whereby we must question its relevance.
And what's fascinating for me is that you get these churches getting so much land, while when you start initiatives like the ATI Foundation, you even struggle to get spaces where you can operate.
Churches, there's another form of mafia and thuggery. That is another form of mafianess and thuggery. And we need to get rid of it. Because what are these churches doing? When they get that land, what are they doing? Because imagine leaders are going to court for church. People are splitting churches because of money. What are we doing?
There's too much money.
There's too much money in church. Now, even where some of these churches are not being taxed. Like tax. It's an unwritten rule. That thing. That's why our fundis was and blaspheme upon it, which is true. So you get to find, in today's day, the institutions that we have, even the foundations we are starting, that we are doing, what is the purpose of starting them? Why are we doing them? Are we ready to accept? Who's going to take over? Because if you are not ready for that, If we are creating these foundations for likes, if we are doing these foundations for statuses and posts, then we are in the wrong business. We are in the right business of pillaging and killing a nation 100%. Because also, guys, there's something called morality and moral decorum. Let me tell you something that's going to shock you. Do you know, but it's a conversation for another day. Do you know what homosexuality is actually a Roman demon?
That's another topic.
It's a Roman demon.
Yeah, that's.
But you need to, I'll leave it there.
Yeah,
but you need to go into history. But what I'm trying to say is this. When we speak about building society tomorrow, we want better men. We want men who won't behave like women.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Are you building men to be like women tomorrow?
No.
Are you building men to be like men?
There's a very clear separation.
Therefore, why do you fear defining what a man is and what a woman is? What is right and what is wrong? According to your, don't answer me, but according to your own knowledge and your biblical wisdom, when it becomes acceptable to you to accept that kind of reality in society, are you correct, or do you want to be politically correct?
Mm-hmm.
When we say we want a better South Africa, we want one of the greatest things that has come out and that is consistent in South Africa is South African rugby. Right now in the world, you can walk around as a South African to say, think of any group in your ages or in your country when it comes to rugby. We are champions in it.
We are.
Everything, we are champions in it. So if we can excel in that one, then we look at our boys playing football at a World Cup and we see we actually have the potential to participate internationally. Because in Ghana, it's simple, that's ringing about. The Shawi stage on the first game. Very fair.
So tell me, what are just getting back to the question that I asked earlier, about what can a modern man, just being practical about it, what are some of the things that he can implement to upskill himself for him to become better?
But one, man must read.
Okay.
Read.
Information.
Research.
Yeah.
Stay away from your phone. If you're using your phone,
Mm-hmm.
just use your phone to empower yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Get better knowledge.
Information is
Convert
everywhere.
yes, information, knowledge, convert it to wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
It will work better for you. Because today we are living in a society of consumers.
Yeah.
We are constantly consuming. And what's worse is we are no longer thinking beyond the realm of our thinking.
Mm-hmm.
There you want. Because you want me to spoon feed you what you must do. That whereby you won't think it up for yourself, or you won't ask for assistance for you to think it up. Because some people fall into certain careers by mistake. And not, this was my original plan.
Mm-hmm.
I know a gentleman who works for an entity called SAS. He's a lawyer, but he's the greatest salesman I know.
Okay.
But he landed in there and he flew.
By chance. Okay.
By chance, and he flew. And his talent actually showed itself in that space than being a lawyer. Not necessarily he can't present people, he can, he's capable, he's competent. But it took him to venture elsewhere to understand, okay, there's beyond this thing. So the world is bigger than we think, than we see, than the limitations we understand. The world is bigger than social media. The world is bigger than artificial intelligence. People are stupid today because of this thing called artificial intelligence. It removes from the original AI authentic intelligence, which is in your brain. Anything that you see today that has been created was created from a man's brain, besides God's creation. And man is God's creation. But the fact of the matter is, what is it impossible for man that man can't do? If man has that will power to do it. I mean, man is cloning animals now. So why can't man get rid of poverty? Why can't man get rid of serious illness? Why can't man get rid of chronic illness? Why should we pay exorbitant fees for drugs? Why shouldn't we then teach? Let's go back to basics. Because during COVID, Artemisia was the thing that was used. Artemisia to use known as Mhlonyana. So we need to teach people to go back to basics, research.
Okay.
Right? Research as much as possible. And when I say research as much as possible, research knowledge that will empower you, your individual self, to get your own emotional intelligence. Understand your own emotional intelligence as well. It will let you know what is being emotionally aware of your surroundings. Hence, you will be able to also understand, yes, I'm human, he's human, he's got emotions, I've got emotions. As much as I don't want my emotions hindered or hampered upon, he wants to feel the same. But at the same time, we must have this conversation whereby we find each other in common ground. Yes, we have the right to disagree.
Yeah.
We've been given the gift of thought.
Of course. That's free thinking, by the way.
Yes.
That's free thinking.
It's important to think, because there's a saying that says, think before it becomes illegal.
Yeah.
Something, just to add on what you've just said, something that is currently happening.
Yeah.
People say, we don't have work, so therefore I cannot be able to
provide.
Provide.
Yeah.
You know, as small as my yard is, you know, you can grow spinach, you can grow
100%.
things
100%.
and be creative. We've seen that. Talking about social media, YouTube, you go in there, you see how people can create in small spaces, how to create
it's the information.
Yes.
Information, yeah. People are not using these cell phones for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And they've got beautiful and expensive phones, but
100%.
Actually, these phones are smarter than.
You can do so much. You can learn currently. I mean, like, look at the setup that we're in. I mean, like, painting and talking to guys that we can do this kind of thing. But somebody out there that has gone to university to go do television and stuff like that, and they will say, yeah, but you need a big budget to go create this. We need. And you say, but hang on, hold on. What do you need?
Yeah.
You can do things with what you have, what is available, and make a big thing out of it.
Yeah.
100%. And what you get to find now is that we are living in a time where now our government is trying to be responsive and not reactive. They are trying to remove the red tape to quite a lot of things. So, for example, like a setup like this, you don't even need to say each bring up a camera.
Big budget.
No. It starts with a conversation with everybody here. All right, let's write this stuff down. Who do we need to speak to? Who do we need to see? And the sad part is we've removed the human element, because
that goes to
Ubuntu again in this entire process. And that's why we don't have confidence in the processes, because now you say apply online. Sure, yes, there's certain things we must do online. Great stuff. But there's certain things you want to present that don't fit into their criteria, but it fits into their mandate to fund you or give you equipment. For example, if you were to say you are building an entire podcasting studio, video production, editing suite, and so forth and so forth, in a space whereby now the next unit, for instance, you've got your component parts in manufacturing, you've got this, within the space of Meadowlands, then you get to know, okay, sure, we are opening up an avenue now here. Let's have even better conversations with original equipment manufacturers. Not with your son is a common no cancer, don't do that. Build your community like it's a country. Because that's why you have a number one citizen called a councillor. Yes, we've got a number one citizen who's called a premier in the province. We've got a number one citizen in the country who's called a president. We've got a number one citizen in the city who's called a mayor. Do not fear to jump to these offices, because that is what also causes gatekeeping in this political system that we have here today. Because now, I mean, I'm not using green, blue. Association. And this is where we lose it, because on the ground, labo makhelwane mabakhampeni mase after campaign uzobathola abahlele bonke laba baphuza i-cold drink sebakhathela ngithi mara bonke bafaka ikipa zawo wonke lama political party baplomile manje. Now we are facing the realities of our socio-economic issues and the realities of our communities. We are not campaigning. But so this is where we need to learn. the element which let us decolonize even the system of this political business. Because then we need to know which once we discern proper leaders who will stand there and represent, then we are good to go.
All right. As we wrap up the conversation,
Sure.
I would really love you to come back again.
I'll come back
Because we
after.
touched on so many important conversations.
Sure,
right?
sure.
As we wrap up, what does success mean to you?
That's a very good question. I've never had I've never known how to answer that question. It's not the first time I've been asked, but what is success to you? Because success to me can't be the achievement of buying a house, buying a car, having what do you call this? An initial public offering, an IPO, or doing this. That is just part of the journey of your success.
Yeah.
But success does get to a point where you look back and you see the impact it has done, the beneficiation that is there, and so forth. And success is not measured pertaining to what is visible.
Yeah.
No. Sometimes success is measured upon what is invisible. Because there's certain people who are successful in bringing the best out of others. All right? There's certain people who are successful in building businesses. There's certain people who are successful and so forth. So sometimes success is limited on your talents and skills. Again, you may be a successful football player, but you may be terrible at rugby. You may be or you may be successful at life, but then you may be unsuccessful when it comes to your own emotional well-being.
Yeah.
And you find yourself in a small corner, and unfortunately certain things happen. So success is entirely dependent upon you as an individual, how you see your duty and how you fulfill your duty. I think I'm giving you the answer. And how you would eventually see it grow beyond you.
All right. Let's do some rapid fire questions.
Sure.
Let's make it fun without thinking. Don't think about it too much.
That's difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, sure.
Tea or coffee?
Water.
Books or podcast?
Books.
Okay. Modern man means? Just finish the sentence.
Modern man means going back to basics.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. And then tell me, if this was the last microphone that you were ever given an opportunity to speak on,
yes,
what would you say to your kids? What would you say to that young boy? What would you say? What would be your last message?
Do everything that you're planning to do without regret or hurting anybody.
Nice one, I like it. There you had it. Sfiso Kunene, our guest. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends and family. This has been your host, Zex Manda, with the Modern Men podcast. Catch you on the next episode.